Thank you very, very much for coming. We are going to get right into it. My name is Benezeri Wanjala. Today we have some esteemed panelists and also an esteemed audience. We are going to talk about something that is very dear to many of us. We believe that if we unite and discuss, then together as a block, we can push the ball that's already rolling. So right now, I'm going to invite the panelists and the moderator. So Isabel, kindly come up and introduce yourself.
Hello, everyone. I think it's very interesting that I'm the only female here, but I'll take that as the biggest honor. My name is Isabel Tuonjere. I am a lawyer, a musician. I like writing, so I have a blog that's called A Ugandan Artist, and I'm really all about why we are here today. That's me, and that has been me for a while. I'm going to invite the panelists to come up to have their seats, and we're just going to get straight to it. So let's do that right now. And basically, all that's going to happen today is we're going to have a discussion about music, urban music in Uganda. We're going to go define some of the meanings of music business. What is art? What is music? Why are we not prospering? Why are some prospering? How can we all prosper, you know? So I'll begin with passing the mic on. I thought there was a second mic around. Yeah, go ahead, Keke. Introduce yourself, what you do to everyone.
Hi, my name is KK. I work in radio. I've been in radio for 12 years. First 10 years basically just presenting, and the last 2 years producing and developing talent. And of course, I've had a chance to work with so many up-and-comers, veterans, passers-by, because music is just, these people are there for so many different reasons, for the money, for the fame, for passion. So I've had a chance to interact on so many levels with so many artists over the last 10 years, 12. So yeah, that's what I do.
Thanks, Keke. Yeah, we can clap. Thank you, Louis.
Hi, my name is Louis Luanga. I'm an international lawyer, specialty entertainment, media, and sports. Amongst other things, I'm an art producer. I really can't call myself a music producer because, you know, Don is here. But I've tried to play with buttons in a couple of studios. But I really do love art so much that I studied it locally and internationally. I'm very, 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 very grateful for forums like this because I feel like there are so many things that need to be exposed and talked about and understood, and so many dynamics, not just from a legal perspective, but from a perspective of what everyone on this panel represents. So I'm looking forward to a very, 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 very good session. Thank you.
Thank you, Louis.
Hi everyone, I'm Don Kawonero. I'm a producer and artist talent manager at Dasville Records. Yeah.
Yeah, we can clap for.
Hello everyone, my name is Felix Biaranga. I'm from the Tribe UG. The Tribe is a platform dedicated to Ugandan hip hop. We've been developing it for the past 6 years. And along the way, we have started an agency for artists. We help them monetize their content and also interpret the music business for them. On top of that, interpret the informal sector of the arts world to the formal sector, that's the corporate people, so that both worlds can understand each other and see how they can come in. That's it pretty much.
Hello everyone. My name is Hagai Movanza. I'm from the Tribe UG as well, and Skyline Media, like he said. And I hope we get to share and interact and see how we can move urban music forward.
Hello, my name is Nezavata. double time award-winning producer, and yeah, I'm a music producer and music production instructor. I love music production so much that I went ahead and way back I studied it, and now I'm teaching it. I'm so happy to be here with you guys.
Yeah, this is a really potent, wide, you know, so filled with content panel that we have here. So many aspects we're going to tackle. We have lawyers, we have producers, we have people who worked on radio, we have people who are organizing platforms for urban music in Uganda right now. So just you can even start having like a template in your mind of like the questions or the directions we're going to take in this discussion. And basically, this is the gist. We're going to discuss the strengths, the weaknesses, the opportunities, and the threats here with urban music and urban art generally in Uganda. Just for introduction's sake, as I said, I'm a musician, so most of what I speak is going to come from that dimension, as I imagine everyone else is going to speak more on what they're more knowledgeable concerning. And so, yes, I'm a musician. I come from a family that likes music. So from a very young age, I was exposed to music. Another thing is my family is also very academic. So books and reading from a very young age were introduced to me. In the end, it was music and words. So even while I say I'm a musician, more of where it began was songwriting. So I love writing songs. I like listening to songs and breaking down how probably that was built up. And, you know, as life went on, that pyramid kind of kept on, you know, building from instruments to writing songs to releasing music and things like that. So when I personally think of the strengths and, yeah, let me start with the strengths in Uganda. First of all, there's a crazy diversity. A diversity you can't find in most places in the world, and it stems down culturally. For me, I think culture, not just what is your tribe, but no, what is your lifestyle, what is the way you live, what is your aesthetic, what appeals to you. And I think that is the biggest strength personally that I'd point out. You see the different types of musical genres we have already that even bring us together at this point, you know? Urban music, it's rap, there's people that do classical music in Uganda. There's recently I came across a teen psychedelic band that's like music from the 60s, you know, the 70s. I'm like, what? We have this in Uganda. There's people that do jazz and blues and, you know, even our own genres, chidandali, kadongo kamu, it's wide. And the base of that, in my understanding, is the different places we come from. Even here, like you can say my mother is this tribe, my dad is this tribe. That alone will determine the dynamic in your home, your upbringing, what you listen to. Or this is the school I went to, and this is what stood out in that school. Or I don't know, when we were all in P6, it was cool to like rap. So we all like rap, and I wanted to be a rapper, and now I'm a rapper. You know, like the smallest things, the biggest things. For me, I think the biggest strength we have is the diversity of culture. And every one of these people is going to mention what they believe strengths are. But for me, I think it's diversity. When you have different people bringing different things out, you have a variety, and in the end, it's like this one mirror, this country, these individuals presenting who they are, but because of what I bring, you can see who you are as well. Like, hi, I wrote this song about this. How does that relate to you? Or I produce music and I make this kind of sound. How does that relate to you? In the end, we're like this country, this society of like mirrors, a global whole of mirrors reflecting each other and just edifying each other with where we come from and what we bring to the table. So I'd say strength, diversity. Weakness is automatically not realizing that diversity or treating that diversity as a competition. Saying that because I do this and I'm different from you, I'm more special, I'm more unique, so I'm going to do my own thing. And surprisingly, there's so much that people have achieved in Uganda, even in the urban music sector, but because we don't have that spirit of working together all the time, that sometimes stems from that individuality, like let me be me, let me do me, you're not like me, like you're not on my level, or you know, even the people who would seek to aspire to some of the people that I've achieved, they're like, guys, not on my level. I'm just going to flex and do my own thing. But I think one of the weaknesses, great weaknesses we have, is a failure to recognize our diversity. If we can't recognize how diverse we are, we can't see how special we all are. We can't respect what everyone brings to the table. And when that can't happen, there's no support. So everyone, you can achieve a whole music career in, like just your lifetime. You need help. Even the big names had help. Everyone needs help. So it's one of the reasons this that's happening right now is so, so amazing. Even with the numbers that are here, even with the people that are here, let's just discuss. Let's get this going. Let's get this support thing going. Yeah, so the opportunities are to realize that diversity. There's platforms here, there's producers here, there's people that have worked on radio and they interface with a lot of music. They are the ones that present it to the world. There are artists here, there are musicians here, there are art lovers here. We are so many people that bring different things to the table and so many people that can do different things. If we just get to respecting our differences, respecting our diversity, respecting our levels. Okay, yeah, I can play 10 instruments, you can't even play one, but where can I help you if playing an instrument helps? Or I've produced all these records, it's more helpful for you to learn how to produce. Where can we start? So what Naz was talking about, like the teaching, it's so important in what's going on right now. So those are some of the opportunities we have stemming from our diversity, and the threats are the factions that build. I think of a country like America and the fact that its hegemony has like culturally just dominated the world. Whether you go to Asia, there's this time I was in Makere, in some like random place. I'd gone to visit a friend, but we were using some panyas. And I think it was like 2 days after one of the songs of Ed Sheeran's and Justin Bieber, that collaborative thingy had come out. It's a song called I Don't Care. And there was this, these guys who do like, they ban movies, and that song was playing there. I was like, it's just 2 days out, but in this random place in Uganda, in this world, this song is playing. Like, wow, how does Uganda get to that point where we can push as much as that? But when you think about how America has just dominated with sharing their culture, what's cool in America or wherever becomes cool elsewhere because of that power they have. You think about still how they are organized enough to recognize diversity. In album of their category, there'll be a country, there'll be a rap, there'll be, different genres, but recognized. If you're a classical musician and you get that Grammy, it's still a Grammy. And I was just wondering, how do we get to here, to Uganda, and say that someone who does Kadongo Kamu and a dancehall artist, yes, they're different in sound and what they bring, their subject matter, the demographic that they appeal to, but they're both Ugandan artists that need support, that need exposure, that need all these things. And in conclusion, I think the threat is not like supporting ourselves firstly, and then enhancing those factions, the divisions of like, we are this kind of music, these kind of musicians, we do this kind of music, these other people do this kind of music, they're apart from us, we don't associate with them, we don't support each other. But once we start saying that, hey, they're different, I'm different, but together there's something that can happen, I think that's where there's such a beginning. So that's just a brief personal intro of the strength, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats in Ugandan music. And everyone here is just going to give their own version of that from where they come from and just whatever they need to talk about. Then we'll ask ourselves a few questions. The audience will also be welcome to ask some more questions, and we'll continue with this. So, KK.
All right. So when it comes to strengths and weaknesses, again, and you almost said everything and covered it. Right. I don't think there's anything left for any of us. But that's the truth. Because of our diversity, I think we're number 2 behind Nigeria, most tribes in the world. So I think it's a good and bad thing. Good because yes, like Isabel said, diversity means choice, means we have so many options. Means if the Palm Awards are still going right now, you'd have 1 million categories. We should have more categories than the Americans, right? And also it's a bad thing because, say for instance, many of the countries that have had revolutions or real civil wars, it's basically 2 or 3 tribes. So it means if there's a revolution or something, guys are going to back someone up. Here we're too scattered, and by being too scattered, it's also hard to support. If I am Mutoro said I'm going to do Batoro music, few Batoro of the ones who listen to me will support, and then of those few will spend, because many are going to be like, yo, my brother, some CD, some tickets to your show, some this. I mean, Benazeri has come to my radio shows so many times, and once he leaves, I get a text from a fan or a listener, man, do you have some free passes? I'm like, we're supporting our brother, So we have that. And then when I look at our country also, who are we in terms of what we want? We're not deliberate with our stuff. Our netball team has been destroying very many teams around Africa, but we get surprised that we're that good. So nothing is deliberate sometimes. We need to be like, when this finally 2-3 years down the road, when Benazeri and all of us have put this thing together, yes, we'll be more deliberate. But right now, we're just random. I don't know if that makes sense. People just walk into the studio because I think I sound good, you know? And when you have that kind of mentality, 2-3 years down the road, if there's no money coming through, you won't sustain. Many of our brothers that we look at in America, and you've seen the shows, you've seen the New Edition Story, TLC, Tupac, they were broke, even at the peak of their careers. They were owing money to record companies. Tupac did things for the other guy, the big guy who got him shot. Because he owed him. You know, he got him out of jail. So, but they were always broke guys. The guys that make the money are the country musicians. But because they had that passion, that deliberate want to be the best, to stand out, to do their thing, to keep going album after album after album, that's something we need. That culture of, you know what, I don't care if there's no money. I don't care if I stay month. Many of our guys, the veterans, the chameleons, the Bebekos, they had to go to Kenya to fit into that culture of don't give up, keep going. So we need to be more practical with guys. Saying, listen, I know it's tough right now. I know you're having a concert and 2 or 3 people only show up. You have a YouTube video out and only 5 plays per day. Don't give up. Okay, you won't get the love Fresh Kid gets overnight because his market is different. His market will shop for 1,000 shillings. Your market a bit too bougie. And it happens. Even with the radio stations, English radio suffers big time. CBS Super, they kick our behinds every single time because when they throw a chigunda, everyone's there. When we throw a party, you know our people. So, will there be drinks? Will they see us? You understand? So even that, the Premier League, we are so in love with the Premier League. But every single weekend, we have our local league. Kids coming through. None of us goes to KCCA to watch a game. But guess what? This evening, we'll all be around our TVs waiting for Man U and Chelsea to kick off. So even in such things, it just shows how we are as a nation. We just need to go back and love ourselves some more. Get back to the grassroots. Who do we want to be? Deliberate stuff. Do we want to be great? And slowly by slowly, if we have as many Uganda as the local side, people will be like, you know what, this English thing can actually work, this urban thing can actually work, I can push myself. Because sadly for many of the urban stars in our country, they're competing with the best in the world. Benazeri is not competing with the local talent, he's competing with AKA, I'm sorry, he's competing with Jay-Z because he's rapping in their language. That means the market will judge him on that level. That means he's got to stay up every night, he's got to keep writing, he's got to keep bugging Dawn. He's going to keep asking Louis for info. He's going to keep asking Isabel, do you think my song is dope? If Benazeri just does a song and puts it on the radio, he's screwed. I'm sorry. You got to double check. Ask the DJs, play my song. This guy is big. We think it's just magic. It's not magic. So a lot of that stuff should be technically driven into us by coaches, by reminding people, what are you chasing? Who do you want to be? And don't chase the money. The money will chase you. That's all I can say.
Okay, just before you pass on that mic, I've really loved a lot of what you've capitalized on, being deliberate, being passionate, being focused. Specifically from your 12 years of experience in entertainment, working, producing, on radio, how would you define like practical examples of that kind of being deliberate? You've talked about staying up all night. I mean, you're rapping in an English language. This is the scope of your competition. But from your own experience, I mean, I'm sure you've come across artists who have that, but what if what they are giving is not good enough? Is there maybe some passion that lacks the machinery to articulate, make those dreams come true? Like, just from where you've been seated, how does what you've talked about translate, like, practically?
Oh, we gotta do extra. Many times I'll have an artist come and blow us away in the studio. I'm like, wow, this kid is talented. Wow, thank you, Don. Thank you, whatever producer. Thank you, Jose. And but then that guy won't come back next year. And I'm like, what happened? But he had the talent.
So consistency.
Exactly.
That's one.
Then you have a guy who is not that good, but guess what? He's at the poetry nights. He's showing up for this. He's showing up for that. There are very many, and like, for instance, I'll give an example. Maurice Kiria. He's one of those guys who just keeps surprising you. He's on CNN's Talking Voices. He's opening up this. He's trying so many little things, and yet you can find their kids, and you know these kids, better vocalists than him. Yeah? Better vocalists. They get a guitar and you're like, whoa, that kid's good. But, hello. My own club, I'll take you back to the Premier League. My coach recently just said they can't bring in some players because of their mentalities. They're like, they don't want to play for us. They don't have that mentality. They're going to get lesser talented people because guess what? They're going to keep bugging you over and over and over again to be in the studio, to come back and keep pushing themselves. So again, even I myself in the radio industry, I've gone for awards where I've been nominated and I've lost to a guy and I thought, but I think we're better than him, but no, that guy is better because you know what? He goes for all the different Buzz Teenies awards. He goes to all the different shows. He's emceeing this, he's
exposure.
emceeing that. Exactly. He's meeting his fans. Me, I think I did 4 hours. I cracked 2 jokes. That should be enough. No. And guess what? In the 10 years, I won no award. I got beaten by guys who I thought I was better than, but they were actually putting in the work. Okay? They were emceeing and helping talent grow. And then you realize, you know what? Nothing is a fluke. Nothing is a fluke. And the best people, you see it in them. And I go back to sports. Ronaldo and Messi are the first on the pitch and the last to leave. There's a reason for everything. You don't get it. Isabel writes, she sings, she's a lawyer. She just said, I can do this and that's it. No. You keep getting better. Some people don't say you were a good musician. They say they were good everything. They were a good everything. And we have so many people in our country we can copy from. So many people in different levels. So we need to be deliberate. We need to push ourselves. We need to be that person.
Definitely, KK. Thank you so much. Let's just give him a clap for all that. I hope we're addressing our questions. There's still going to be time to ask him anything that he talked about that you'd like some clarification on. Moving on to Louis.
I was just telling KK, he has pretty much said almost everything that's very important. So I'm going to be very brief, especially from a legal perspective. Positives, I mean, like you've already said, we do have the talent. I'm just going to talk about the fact that, yes, success is not intentional. I mean, success is intentional. It's done by fluking and how seriously people take this industry. The negatives for me, the only thing I'm really going to talk about that you explain from your perspective, I'm going to call it unprofessionalism. That, for me, is the biggest thing we lack. And I think that's what feeds into the whole consistency and exposure, because people do not know, and it's not really their fault, but our industry is so yes, that's the word, that people do not understand the dynamics of how a professional industry should run. People do not understand what simple things like what publishing is. I could ask many artists, who's handling your publishing? Like, what's that? People think they know what copyright is. They have no idea how that is supposed to work. And with things like that, and all the positives you've mentioned, like diversity, I feel like up until we get these dynamics right and we understand how this works, we've already lost. And it's why we consistently lose at this music game. Because when you look at the African continent, I honestly believe Uganda has some of the best talent in Africa. But the Nigerians, South Africans, they keep kicking our butts because those guys take this serious. They really do. They have professional managers. They're real hustlers. They have professional managers. They have publishing. They have professional performance rights societies. These guys are getting in touch. And if the way you can leverage yourself through exposure at an international level is you have to be talking that language to those record labels or to those executives. Otherwise, I'm not going to, like an artist, wake up one day, like I want to be like Jay-Z, or I'm just going to wake up and send an executive an email and be like, hi, I'm an artist and I want to do this. No, that is not how it works. That is not how it works. Gone are the days when, artists international artists would come here and our own artists would be hustling, or our own producers would be hustling their CDs like, hey, here's my CD. Please listen to my music. Tell me how. Hey, I'm a producer. I can. Now all I have to say is, hey, I'm done. I'm this, that, and you don't have to give someone a CD. They'll just look you up and look at the numbers, and the numbers don't lie because the music industry is so global now that anyone can check you up and see how you're doing up until a particular market. You understand? So we really have to professionalize this thing. We have to, or else we are going to have these forums, we are going to talk all this talk, we're going to have some of the best producers in the country, some of the best musicians, but we will never get anywhere until we take this real seriously. I want to give you an example. And why I said it's not so much a fault of some people in the industry is because our industry hasn't been built like that. It's just a few people now that are doing it, and people see them succeeding. And you ever wonder why you're like, man, like, why are the Nigerians on these albums, in these national albums? Why is a Nigerian? Why do you why do you hear a Nigerian, or a South African song being released, and you hear about it, and you have people here who have very good songs in the local market that you've never heard of, and it's intentional. So I feel like we have to study what the global industry is doing before we can even get to uplift our local industry. And I think it's a very good thing that we are at a level where we are so ignorant about it, because we can start. We can start from an informed point of view through studying these dynamics and saying, okay, if I'm an artist, I'm supposed to have my streaming right, I'm supposed to have my publishing right, I'm supposed to have either a record deal, I'm going to be an independent artist, this is what my deal should look like, I'm supposed to be intentional with this and not just go in a studio and be like, yo, Don or Nazavata, just draw me a bit, let me do this. And Don is going to be like, let's work on this take again and again. You're like, well, what do you mean? Like, so I really feel like we have to professionalize the industry. I can't say that enough. I've had the opportunity of representing some of the biggest artists, and I see this all the time. And sometimes I sit back and I'm like, I really can't believe how these guys have made it to this point without knowing these things. And every time I try to teach them and tell them these things, they're like, whoa, if I had known that like 5 years ago, I probably would have been far. I would have been a Diamond Platinums. I would have been, you understand, eh? But no one taught them these things, and they were just hustling then. So for me, that's the only takeaway, that we really have to professionalize this thing. If you're a music producer, if you're an artist, if you're a talent manager, a content creator, really do this professionally. That's the only way you're going to monitor your progress, and it starts from you, and then around it, I think it will spread.
Louis, just before you pass on that mic, two things I want to capitalize on. You mentioned, firstly, your experience internationally as a lawyer. So you've been to other places. You don't just realize that there's a difference between Nigeria and Uganda, for example, because of the results, but you've been there on the ground to actually see what happens. You've been to Los Angeles and so many other places. And you're talking about professionalism. And of course, there's so many factors that drive that professionalism. KK talked about just wanting it enough, just being deliberate, consistent, exposure. What would you say is the difference in what's happening there, apart from those things that you've mentioned? Because here, is it a difference of just, if you just let an artist know that, hey, you can make a contract with your producer to ensure that this happens and this happens, they'd receive it, or there's some mindset issue, there's a culture issue that is also an impediment to this professionalism that will get us working? What do you think?
Well, I could say a lot, but I want people to understand that out there, the music business is a business first and foremost. It's a business. So it doesn't matter, everything is about numbers. It doesn't matter how talented you are. Man, if you're not putting those numbers on the scoreboard, if you're not selling records, if you're not pulling in ways of income streaming through your performances, and it automatically, the industry will eat you up and spit you up. So they have no choice but be professional about it. And like they say, that game isn't based on sympathy at all. So the fact that it's based on finances, it really drives what professionalism is. People ensure that they have the right team around them. People ensure that they're getting the best deals. Record labels, in an aim to get more money, ensure that all the things are like, it's insane. Straight from, I interned for Universal Music Publishing, And I was really so green about, because it's like a big group and publishing is just a small bit of it. And it's insane how much bureaucracy goes into releasing a single. People have fights over that the artist even isn't involved. Like the artist has the last say. Because you have marketing people that have started the market and they're like, no, this is what we are looking for right now. This is the sound. This is the market we are appealing to. This is the season within which we have to release this. You do have A&Rs who are like, the competition is that and that. It has reached that point of we are going to pull this record out, and that's why you find many artists arguing that I really want to pull out, I want to be independent, I want to do this, but the commercialization of the industry out there is what sets it apart from us.
Most stuff. Just before we hear from Don, there are a couple of panelists that come in. I'd just like them to introduce themselves, what they do, and say hi to everyone.
Hello, my name is Afsa. My name is Afsa, and I'm a concert producer. Yeah, that's basically it.
Cool. Let's welcome Asfa. Sorry, I was say Hassan. Go ahead.
Hello, how's everyone doing? I'm called Dennis Tumusime. I'm from Bantu Vibes. Yeah,
You
it's
are very
good to be
welcome.
here with you guys.
Very, very welcome. Cool. So, just for those that have come in, all we're having is a discussion of strength, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats in the Ugandan music sector. And there's so many people from different sectors, and we're just talking about that. Now we're going to hear from Don. Go ahead, Don.
Basically, I think these guys have touched on everything. I won't repeat, but I'll talk about some of the things they've talked about. I think in this industry, like Ken was saying, you have to be deliberate about what you do. You have to be professional. A lot of people, I mean, you enter a studio and someone says, I just want to make a song. And they think that's where it stops. There's a whole other side of it. You know, it's not just about music. Actually, the music part could be the small part, actually. So, you know, there's so much that goes into it in terms of promotion. I mean, let me give you an example. In the States, with the machinery they have, you know, all the resources they have, they still manage to sit down and an artist will work on an album for a year and you won't hear anything. But the rollout will be so heavy and the impact will just be mega, super. And you can imagine in Uganda, an artist will be, you don't have resources. So of course, if someone is helping you out, maybe financially or whatever, you're required to do more than what's needed, you know. But you find artists there who think, you know, you have to do everything for them. So things can't work like that. Another thing I would like to talk about is research. Like if you want to be an artist, for example, you have to sit down and see what it takes to be an artist. Put in the work. Who's your target audience? What's your demographic? Are you going to what are you going to charge people for your music? How many hours are you putting in studio? Like, I can give you an example. At my studio, we have something called 16 hours, which we require our artists to do. Like when we're working on a particular project, you put in 16 hours a day, every day. Of course, maybe not Sundays or whatever, but yeah, if you're working on a particular project. So at the end of that time, it's not just the connection in studio, just being in studio. We don't even need to be making music necessarily at that time. We could discuss other things, how we are going to go about the project, but just 16 hours. Are you putting in the time? Are you putting in the work? Do you envision yourself doing this forever? You know, and a lot of people think music is a part-time thing, but it can't be if you really want it to be your career. You know, you have to put in the work like any other job out there. He was saying the music business out there is business, it's actual business. An artist is signed for $2 million before he releases anything, you know, just a signing bonus. So people shouldn't have that facade. Like Ugandan artists shouldn't think, oh, I'm just going to jump onto the scene and make money. And you know, you have to think about these things and think about them seriously and for a long time. So yeah, I guess.
Don,
that's
two
what I
questions
think.
for you just before you move the mic. What you've just actually said, wouldn't you think this faction of urban music that's talking deliberate uh, effort, 16 hours, kind of motivation, and which is also part of the problem. You said we are the black sheep in the white sheep, or the white sheep in the very many black sheep. Because it's super easy to make a hit in Uganda today. All you need is some catchy tune, enough, I don't know, whatever it takes. But you've seen the turnover of who was big last year and who's playing in the clubs and in the bars and at the events and at the Kwanjulas, and who will be playing like 3 months later. That turnover, even for us here, is like really, really fast. So, firstly, with what you've said, how would you respond to that?
Uh, for me, like basically, even like when I was talking about research, what's the content of your music? Is it relatable?
Basically, what I'm asking
Mm.
is the difference between, okay, if an artist comes in and you're like, hey, this is Dustville, my name is Don, I'm your producer, we need 16 hours. What's the reason, apart from what, like, we've mentioned and we've been talking about, in the output in Uganda today, would you say is a difference between us or you and that kind of mindset you have, and someone who's like, no, in 2 hours, let's just record this? Like, they just say 16 hours for what?
Oh, okay. I think for me, uh, we're thinking kind of like long term, right?
Definitely, yes.
Yeah, yeah. So, an artist who's doing that for is doing it for the moment, basically. Like you said, they're looking for a hit. Maybe they think, oh, I'll have a hit, but what happens after the hit? Are you are you going to be consistent? Do you have a follow-up song? Exactly. Do you have a follow-up record? What's your rollout? So for me, I'm just thinking about like like I said, the 16 hours is not just music. So we're thinking about how we're going to promote this. What's the impact? Who are we targeting? How are we, if we're trying to make money, how are we going to make money? And actually, like you said, the difference between, we try to have conversations with those artists who come, and I mean, you won't come to my studio and be like, oh, I want to make a song. We'll sit down and talk. I'll be like, so what's your goal? What do you want to do with this music? Or and we've actually I refused to work with some artists because of their intentions or what they want to do. We're not on the same page, basically. So for us, it's not about money, you know. We are trying to make advances in the industry, one way or another. So have I answered your question?
Super. I thought that was like really important to clarify. And then also, maybe Naz is going to touch on it, but you as a producer, everyone in Uganda and the producer, I want to be a producer, but like, what does it take? What are the maybe the struggles you have? Personally, when I just started recording music, I was in high school, and to record one song I needed 300,000. If my father even gave me 50,000, I was like, you guys, I'm rich. Now 300,000, I want to make like 10 songs. How am I even going to begin? But at the same time, you guys need crazy equipment. It's expensive, maintaining it, upgrading it. Even the software you use is like that expensive. So as a producer, from the discussion we're having, is there that personal dimension you can give to the discussion from your own experience with Dustville?
Well, in terms of, I think, ask again. I didn't get it very
Like
clearly.
weaknesses or things you'd like to change for producers from your experience as a producer in Uganda, weaknesses that or struggles that you have.
Okay. As a producer, I think the advances in technology are so crazy right now. You need only a MIDI and a laptop and Fruity Loops, you know? Really, you don't need any crazy technology or whatever. From the other side of the payment thing, right? It's of course it gets a bit crazy with Uganda. A guy comes and he has 100K for a song. That's just going to pay for the light bill or whatever. But I can give you an example. I've come across crazy talent, and I'm like, I won't charge you. You know, like this music has to be heard. You know, so there's usually a balance. You know, one way or another. So yeah, yeah. So basically, as a producer, and it's quite. I think it's quite easy, right? Like compared to before, buying all this equipment and whatever. You don't need that now. You know, a lot of people I know a lot of producers right now, like who don't have studios or but are just their beats are so crazy, you know. And like we've been talking about working together and exposure, right? A&Rs or whatever, I could know a crazy producer and I know his beats could work for this artist. So it's just about like networking, and I think that's it.
No, that's super important to hear. Let's move on to the next panelist. Thank you.
Hey guys who are just walking in, welcome. My name is Felix. I have to reintroduce myself just in case. Uh, the previous speakers have almost said everything and anything I wanted to say. But one thing I want to say is that this music thing, first of all, there's no formula to it. There's no formula to it. Today, a kid can record a song and tomorrow it becomes a hit in the bedroom, and you have been recording your songs for 10 plus years. Secondly, the next thing I want to say is that he was talking about us professionalizing the industry, and to me that goes back to capacity building. We need to build resources in our industry in a way that most of us, the artists, we get our friends, our cousins to manage us, but they don't know the dynamics of the industry. So the first thing is capacity building. We need to know what does a manager do. Then apart from that, we need to be aware of the business models in the music industry. Because once you know the business models, then you know where the revenue streams are, and then you can get those revenue streams. Then the opportunities that I see in this industry is that there is room for growth. We came in this industry 6 years ago. We were just a blog dedicated to Ugandan hip hop. But along the way, we've seen a lot of loopholes that we can fix in the industry. Part of that is monetizing the industry. There are a lot of artists who are doing music, but they don't know the first step in monetizing their music. I can give you an example. There's a lady called Rachel Ray. In the last she gave us her song at the start of the year. She gave us a bunch of songs, but we monetized all of them. But one of them has made that 2 million that we're supposed to pay her in just 3 months. So those are just examples of things that we need to be aware of in the industry, the different business models and the different revenue streams. Because at the end of the day, we are competing with, I would say, two major industries. That's the South African industry and the Nigerian industry. The Nigerian industry is heavily commercialized. You don't get to listen to a new artist by mistake. There is big money behind that artist. The South African industry is heavily formalized. There is a formal structure put in place. And for us at the tribe, that's what we have been about. We have been trying to add value to the industry in everything we do. That is from developing structures like the properties like the UG Hip Hop Awards to developing an agency that UG Hip Hop artists can utilize. And not only UG Hip Hop artists, but all artists who are in the urban music space. Then lastly, I want to say that we can talk all day, every day, but the biggest thing that we need in this industry is money. You people might think that passion, passion is great, but we need money. Because the money is move everything. To get here, you spent money to come here. Because you think you are going to get value out of this talk. To go to the studio, you are going to use transport money. You are going to reach there and pay Dawn to record music. For Afsa, a concert producer, to book you, has to make sure that you are going to move tickets, you are going to sell tickets. At the end of the day, that's money. So you might be driven by passion, but at the end of the day, you have to develop a plan for the monies. The coins have to come in. Everything has to make financial sense at the end of the day. If the making of the financial sense is difficult for you, you have to get someone who will draft the plan for you. Then lastly, you have to surround yourself with the right people. For example, like today, because one thing we've realized, like us, the fact that we are using artists' content to make them whatever monies we are making them, is that we are not lawyers. So what that meant for us is that we had to partner with legal people who would interpret all these things for artists in a legal sense and what it means for them. Then we also went an extra mile and got lawyers who can break it down in native languages. So you find that a guy from the West, like Amania Maniga, who might probably not understand the language the lawyers use, but you get a lawyer who can break it down for them in Runyankole, in Ruchiga, so that they can understand most of the things. Pretty much that's what I had to say.
Thank you, Felix. Just before we pass on the mic and hear from the last two panelists, I wanted to open it up to you guys. How are we doing? Are we bored? Are we cold? Are we... Because right now, if you have any questions for these guys who've spoken, they're welcome at this point. Any other maybe angles they didn't touch that you'd like to open up? Yeah, go ahead. Can just okay.
Hi, my name is Eric. My question was to Felix. You talked about monetizing Rachel Ray's song 2 million shillings in 3 months. I was interested to find out, was this like through, how did that happen? How did you monetize it? Was it streaming? Was it selling?
You have to pay a consultation consultation fee. But for us, like I said, you have to be aware of the revenue models. So the first one that we looked at was streaming, but streaming in Uganda doesn't translate. I'm not saying you shouldn't do it; you should do it, but it doesn't translate that much. Because I think I was breaking it down for Benezeri. He was telling me about the Bantu vibes and how a bunch of people are under that platform, artists and all that, and they have events and they have over 200 people. And I'm like, yeah, the thing about this music industry that we need to remember is that to some extent it's a lifestyle thing. So what does that mean? As a person, I can't spend money on streaming before I pay for my yaka. You understand? It's a lifestyle thing. So I was telling him, for example, the artists who are under Bantu Vibes, these are students these are people who went to international schools. So when they went to international schools, most of them, when they finish school, they fly out. So when they fly out, there's this lifestyle of streaming music. So, and paying 0.99 US dollars is easy, it's cheap money for them. So at the end of the day, they'll pay that streaming money and they will stream their friends' music. And I feel like that's why a guy like Lagum has been able to win, because most of his friends stream his music. So there is the streaming factor, but the streaming monies don't translate in Uganda because a stream on Tidal is like 0.07 US dollars by the time, and that's before taxes. So what does that mean? That means you have to be aware, you have to know how your fans consume. For example, for us, who are like, instead of you giving us your song, we put it on the Tribe UG and be downloaded for free. How about we get your song and we put it on MTN Caller Tunes? So that was the other way of earning music. So when you get it on MTN Caller Tunes, 700 shillings is pretty much in the ballpark for most of us a month. So by the time MTN removes their percentage, by the time URA removes their percentage, in 3 months, this kid had 2 million to play around with. So streaming. I'm not saying don't do streaming, but just be aware of your consumers, how they consume music and how they spend. Because at the end of the day, it's also a network thing. If I know 10 guys who spending 700 won't be a problem for them, I'll try to interest them into spending on my music.
Does that answer your question, Eric? Cool. Thank you so much, Felix.
That's a very good question, but you've basically answered your own question. Because in a professional setting, an artist is supposed to concentrate on the art. Strictly. You leave everything else to the professionals. Yet let your lawyers handle the legal papers. Let your accountants handle the finances. Let your manager or the booking agency handle that. But beyond what you've asked, there are very blurred lines between art and commercialization. I had this conversation with one of the leading artists, and if you are going to do art for the sake of the art, you have to be okay with not making money. If you do art for the sake of art and you make money, for any artist, that is the unicorn. That is the ideal. Yeah, it's the exception. You're like, man, I can't believe I'm doing my art. I'm not compromising my art, and people are actually loving it, and I'm earning from it. But once you enter, I can guarantee you most of the big artists you know internationally and nationally, I know it for a fact. Like I had said earlier, the record labels control their art. Because as we said, music is a business first and foremost. They're going to look for bits of their art, or they're going to twist their art to feed something that's going to be more profitable. Look at Keko. Let me go for a local example. Look at Keiko. She was signed to Sony Africa, all right? And her music changed, and she was like, oh my God, I can't do my art anymore, and it was out. You've had so many international artists complain where they even have to buy some of their own songs to get on an album. So they're very,
Even the
very
likes of Taylor Swift and her
yes,
recent master,
yes.
Scott Brown.
That's a very, 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 very good example. So yes, ideally it's a double-edged sword. In a formal or a more professional or whatever you can call it, the artist is supposed to concentrate on the art. That is why these record deals give you an advance. Some of these record deals are based on advances. I'm going to give you 2 million. I'm going to pay for all your studio. I'm going to give you everything you need to make the music. Okay? It's going to be recouped, but you're supposed to concentrate on that as uh, as the professionals do their thing. It's just that at the end of the day, they're going to control it. So if you want to do art for the sake of art without commercialization, you have to be okay with the fact that if I don't make money, I'm doing what I love. That's why some of the most talented artists, even in Uganda, that you go like somewhere and like artists, and you're like, man, this guy is so talented. I've never heard of him, and he's broke as hell, but he's happy. And when he performs, you're like, man, this guy is very passionate. The artist I'm talking about that I talked to, very successful, arguably one of the most successful artists in Uganda. When we had this conversation of his entire catalog, there's only one song that was a hit that even the way he was talking about it, he was nearly crying because he said, Louis, I made this song out of art to put this message to the people. And people ended up loving the song and it earned me money. That is the only time he ever felt valuable as an artist because he had just done art and it just happened to make money. But this is someone who was very, 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 very extremely popular and all the songs were hits. But most of them he did it for commercial purposes. And you have to understand why, because even artists, even producers have families to feed.
As we can go ahead.
Hi. I hadn't gotten a chance to speak yet, but I was sort of going to like go toward what you're saying. Like I believe what everyone is saying, commercialize your music and all that. I mean, I'm a concert producer, so the more commercial you are, the more money you make for me. But I also believe in art, right? When I was when I was still with Blankets and Wine, one of the things that I tried to do a lot was balance out the the acts that I put on stage, which is something that I was very passionate about. Is I made sure that I got the people that did it for art. So if you were coming for the art, you had someone to watch, and then also, of course, the person who would bring in the money, right? So I believe, and I don't know any artist that I've spoken to, I believe you can't do the art for art. It's just the problem is, I keep hearing everyone saying, to make a hit, you need to make a hit if you want to make a hit. But that's the thing, like that hit is going to make you money for 3 months. Yeah, they're going to book you in every bar, every club, every concert. They're going to pay you 500,000, and then after that, what you get? So on top of concert producing, I'm also a marketing person. So I believe in branding and marketing. So I believe in you allowing your art to take its time. So don't just grow overnight and be a hit overnight, and then after, okay, fine, 6 months from now, someone else who has the same sound or a better sound just comes and takes you off. So I think take your time as an artist. I believe artists should take their time and grow your brand, grow your art. And you don't need to appeal to everyone, right? Like get your niche crowd, and those people are the ones that are going to be tweeting the Blankets and Wine page telling them we want to see this person. They're going to be tweeting every single concert person saying we want to see this person, and they're going to book you because there's like 50 people in their mentions telling them this person, this person, this person. So I think like you can't do it. It just takes a little bit longer, right? And yeah, of course, concert people, they want to make the money, but I think people are just like lately there's been that balance. Like we're recognizing that, you know what, there's artists, there's actual artists that need a platform. So we're trying to give them speak of the devil. You get, so so we're trying to give those artists that platform, right? But then of course there's going to be the John Blacks who, but also the way I work is, again, because I believe it takes time for an artist to grow. I personally would not book John Black for, let me say, Blankets and Wine, because he has 3 songs. And yeah, there's the hype, but even those people that are even you who is playing his music
But
off
as
the
for the
hook.
question would be, isn't John Black's expression also art?
Yeah, that's the thing. It is, but what I'm saying is, it takes time to grow as an artist, right? So even that person, even these guys who are saying I play his music all the time, they won't pay for those tickets to go and see him, right? So yeah, they're going to hype him up, but they're not going to pay. So that commercialization everyone is talking about is really relative. So you just need to like take your time as an artist, find your brand, find your niche, and stick to it. Because if you go off of the hit, um, everyone saying I want a hit, I want a hit, you're going to last 2 months, 3 months, 6 months at most, and then what happens to you after that? So yeah, I hope I answered your question.
I think we'll just have like one more response so we can have some more questions and also move on. So
All right. From the radio perspective, I feel your pain because we have to
and we
play
all
that
feel
crap.
your pain.
But again, it's just like in life. In class, the popular kid is not the coolest kid. The coolest kid is the quiet kid who draws his stuff. You understand? In sports, maybe the best player and the loudest player. You understand? So even with music and on the radio is, most radios are top 40. And for the longest time, many of the good artists, the kids coming through, weren't getting a shout out on the Capitals, on the Sun News because of their formats. Until 2007 happens and Hot opens up and whoa, guess what? We can do Luga Flow, we can do this, and then all these kids pop out. And there's so many other radio stations, you've heard of Touch FM or whatever, where you have them niche crowds, and that stuff is good. But sadly, with African boy on everything, and that's the catchy. Exactly. Can you explain Gangnam Style? Can you explain Fresh Daddy? We live in a world of bubblegum, a world of what's hot right now. People don't listen to radio the whole day. You get people just tune in someone's car. I mean, after car for a ride, then the 10 minutes that I'm on, what am I listening to? So they want something that's catchy. When you listen to the best radios in the world, Top 40, Kiss FM, Ryan Seacrest, whatever, Capital, UK, they play like 20 songs, and they keep rotating the same rubbish over and over and on. It's just the worst. So we usually advise people, collect, okay? Because the radio won't give you what you want. Some will, some won't. The biggest in this country, Capital, they didn't support that kind of talent, the good stuff, the really good stuff. But then again, our friends that we were talking about before I pass on the microphone in other countries, they're deliberate about this stuff. When you watch some of these channels, you're going to watch The Voice, America's Got Talent, X Factor, all these different platforms, just supporting a whole bunch of guys. Of these 50 acts a season, 2 will become stars that will go to the radio. But it's like a whole bunch of really good people who just didn't cross the star line. But have a lot of good music, and AFSA will hire them. I, for the longest time, loved Neo Soul, the music Soul Childs or whatever. Were they getting airplay? Nope. You get, in my heart, they're there. The Janae Echoes, the Who's. Who's playing them? Nobody. They're playing, I don't know, what's Taylor Swift thing these days? All that stuff, you get. So it's a fight. Even us in the radio, we fight every day. So they tell us, if you don't like it, don't listen to it. You get? But there's a kid out there who's wants to be African boy. So bad. Because that's the sound of the year. Next year around this time, it probably won't make any sense. He'll be long gone maybe. But for now, sadly, popularity rocks and that sucks. But yeah.
Yeah, personally, I think that is such a good question. And don't forget that there's opportunity to continue this discussion after. But I just want to give opportunity to anyone else who has a question. Go ahead. If you could just please pass on the mic to him so he may be heard by everyone.
Right. My name is Simon. Worked as a producer and songwriter back in Kenya. But I guess I just had a comment to a lot of the commercialization that's been going on. I think I heard a talk from MI, TED Talk, and he said that the market size for Nigeria was $450 million. If you compare that to the Ugandan market, it's about $1 to $5 million, all right? The Ugandan music market, that's just selling music and earning from your product, right? Not advertising, not endorsements, just selling pure music, pure records. Now, it's difficult to compete with a market that's 450 times bigger than you. You're not playing in the same league. It's almost like asking some League One player to please can you play at the league of Messi? know. So there's that comparison that we need to understand. Market size, all right? It's not the same market size we're playing in. And then when we break down the individual market, we have $1 to $5 million to play with in the midst of all of us. Now we have pop market and Kenneth Mugabe, right? 80% of that
Dude,
1 million.
Kenneth, you have your own like market.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, go ahead,
80%
Simon.
of that market, 80% of that market is your pop market, all right? And then you have a 20%, $200,000 for Kenneth Mugabe and his crew, right? So you're gonna move, the actors are gonna move where the money is, all right? And you're expecting someone that has 200,000 to compete for to somehow play in the same market a as a John Black, right? It's just not the same product. It's almost like asking, I think, does everyone understand what fast-moving consumer goods are? Like ketchup, it's here today and it's gone tomorrow. That's the market you're playing in. That's what you chose, all right? So you have to produce ketchup every single day, because it's going tomorrow, all right? But if you're in construction, it's a different game. We're building this thing and it's gonna last the next 10 years. So it's understanding what kind of market am I in, what size am I in, and then moving
Seeing
on.
how to apply
Apply
that
yourself,
knowledge with what you
adjust your
have.
expectations,
Yeah,
all right?
totally. Yeah.
Yeah, so John Black for me is not rubbish. It's really about he's playing in a market that is a fast-moving market. You're here today, and your ketchup is done tomorrow, all right? So you just need to be scaling and producing every single time.
Thank you, Simon. Cool. So guys, people have so much to say. Make sure you tell your neighbor that you have a blog where you write these thoughts or something. Like, let's network so we can all share this knowledge. But for now, we're going to move on to the next 4 panelists. If you have any more questions, don't be afraid to write them down. They can still be asked. There'll be another session for questions, or even just as Simon has done, commenting. But for now, let's hear from Haggai.
Thank you for coming, everyone. The problem of talking last is everyone has said everything.
Wow, you have what to say.
So I'll just build on what everyone else has talked about and see how I can contribute to the conversation. I think it's very important for us to have these talks, but beyond the talking, we need to do.
Definitely.
You can talk, even tomorrow talk, next year talk, but if you're not doing, you're not getting anywhere. And I also think we need to be able to define what urban music is to us. We need to, is it someone making music in English? Is it the sound? Is it the look? Is it the aesthetic? How do we define urban music? But what I can say is, when you look at the Ugandan music industry, like Swang's Avenue, to me, in my opinion, has done it. It has given us a look, and it has built on the sound. It might not be the urban music we want to hear, but how do you define urban? Urban is city, urban is town. When hip hop was growing in the US, it was ghetto. The people who used to look at it, the people who are listening to music then didn't consider it as urban music. They looked at it as ghetto music, but it found its place. People used to listen to jazz, they used to listen to country music, but with time, hip hop found its place, and because it was born in towns and cities, it became urban music. So I think when we come back down here in Uganda, we need to understand what is urban music. Yes, you can have Lagoon making music, but at the end of the day, he's not the only person living in a city. There's other people who are living in a city. So if they don't listen to his music, or if John Black is making music and someone is saying John Black's music is not urban, how do you decide that John Black's music is not urban? Because he's in the city, he's making music for the city. So I think it's really a case of people having different tastes when it comes to art, and people collaborating, because it's a game of numbers at the end of the day. So if you're rapping in English or you're making music in English, and you're only targeting 500,000 people, or you're getting 500 people, and someone is doing music in Uganda and is getting 2 million people, 3 million people who are listening to their music, how about you find a way of collaborating with the person who's reaching the numbers that you want? Or how about you find the look and the sound that is going to put you uh, on the that is going to put you in front of the people, the number of people that you want to reach. So I think because when you go to different regions, be it Gulu, Western Uganda, Eastern Uganda, all those guys have their artists. Some of those guys don't even care about what's happening in Kampala. They have their own artists who are making music for them, and they believe those are their urban artists. Those are the cool guys. So you, who is here in Kampala, you're looking at it and you're like, but the urban music is supposed to sound like this, but no, it is not. And I believe the future of Ugandan music is regional collaborations. You get a guy who's doing it big in Gulu, a guy who's doing it big in Bara, a guy who's doing it big in Eastern Uganda, and you collaborate with them. It will push further. Maybe the other thing I wanted to talk about is the business models of the music. At the end of the day, you can talk about streaming, you can talk about um, caller tunes. The the thing that brings the most money is shows. It does not matter what you're doing or what. If you have 4 shows booked every weekend, you're going to cash in. So every artist would love to showcase their talent, showcase their art, and they all want to have shows. So how do you move from the point of having no show? There are guys who are performing at weddings every Saturday, and they're doing urban music,
And
and they're
getting like 2.5 each wedding with 4
cashing in,
weddings in one
cashing
day.
in, cashing in, cashing in. So it's really a case of how do I move from having 0 shows to being booked, and how do I make my music more appealing?
But
Because
Hagai, even just at that point, can I ask you something? Internationally, in other with other business models, there are different realities of people who will just have a world tour, and that's the only time you'll see them perform. Or some people who don't even have world tours or tours at all, but they're just recording artists. Are you saying that with the realities in Uganda, if you're not doing shows, there's not much you're going to get, and it's okay if that's the fact?
you will make some money from you'll make some money from caller tunes. You'll make some money from streaming if you're lucky, but the real money, the money that is the 450 million that he's talking about for Nigeria, is coming from shows. It's coming from when these guys come down here and perform. When they perform in their cities, you have to do shows to bring in money that makes sense. And you cannot invest in yourself if you don't have money. So if you're making money, you invest more in yourself. So personally, me, I think right now, what I've noticed in the Ugandan music industry, artists have figured out the urban look. If you look at the way Swang's Avenue brands its artists, they look urban, but the sound. If you look at Eddie Kenzo's videos, his artwork, he looks urban. When you listen to the sound, you can relate to it on a local level. So at the end of the day, I think it's just a matter of marrying the two. I'd say because we have this thinking of this is uptown, this is downtown. I think it's just a case of marrying the two. You marry the uptown and the downtown, and you get something. Yeah.
Cool. Okay, thanks so much for that input. Let's pass the mic all the way this side. And yeah, sure. We're going to hear from Naz and Asfa as well.
No, these guys are right because they have said everything. So I have nothing left.
No, we shan't allow Naz. You're going
Okay. Thing is, maybe you guys should direct the questions to me. Maybe that.
Okay. Naz, just for the sake of people,
Naz.
so sorry?
Naz.
Naz Avatar. That's it, right? Just so people can have a better idea of what kind of questions to direct to you. For those that have just come in, maybe you can give them the intro you kind of gave at the beginning of what you do and what you're about.
Okay, my name is Nez Avatar. And I'm an award-winning music
Can
producer.
I ask what it means, or it doesn't mean anything? It's
That's a
just
long story.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and we don't have that time. I'm a music producer, award winner, and music production instructor at a music school, SOM Music School on the Raga Road. I'm a big guy there. Yeah.
You heard it.
Oh, yes. I produce music, urban music, and other genres.
Can we ask some of the artists you've worked with?
Yes.
Feel free.
I've worked with Herbert Sensamba. Yes. He's a recording and a performing artist. I produce all his songs. I've worked with Yala MC. I've worked with Sylvester Kabombo. He's right there. There are very many. I can't count them all.
Okay,
Actually,
cool.
I think I produce most of the rappers in Uganda. Yes.
Okay. Okay. Cool.
Yeah, I have a record clean. I don't know. What else can I say?
Oh, that's okay. That's enough to say. But guys,
I'm working with.
any
I'm trying to push my craft so far. I'm currently working with a lady called Wendy Nicola. She's an American artist and manager to a rapper called Stunt Life. So I'm trying to push very hard, very hard, collaborating with different producers in different countries. I'm trying to really push this thing. So, yeah.
Okay, so guys, if you have any questions concerning any of that subject matter, you know who to ask. He said he's down to just ask us questions. So let's pass the mic all the way back to the front. Mr. Siviasa, you're so welcome.
Yes, I'm called Dennis. Before I start saying anything, just allow me to introduce my producer that I came with.
True.
He's called Axon. He's right there behind Benenzeri. That's my brother right there. So we've been talking about urban music. I just wanted to make sure that we're all still on the same topic. And there's something that someone was talking about there, and for me, a lot of the stuff feels like people are just accepting the industry the way it is without asking why is it the way it is. And the industry is the way it is. Personally, I think it's because of the media and the market. And if we try to understand how does the market receive a product, it's usually, I think if there's usually a scale of how you make a product tip and then the whole market accepts it. And if you understand the scale, then you understand that 85% of the market is usually just followers. They really don't care what they're receiving, they just receive it. You see, so there's usually a small percentage of people that know very well that they're the ones who control what people receive, and people are going to receive whatever.
Yeah,
If you guys woke up today and just played whatever you chose and we all played it, then it would be a hit tomorrow. That's how dumb the market is. So that's what we have to understand, that why is the market the way it is. So personally, I feel like in the media, like every media in any country, there's usually a narrative. And in the US media, the narrative has been clear, it's against black people. That's the narrative. You'll never find CNN come say Jay-Z did this and it's wonderful. They'll come say Meek Mill did this and it's awful. You understand? Like, it's always going to be against the black people. The narrative is always clear in the media. And the narrative is always going to push something. And it's going to push it in a very biased sense. Because people just receive whatever is given to them. People don't really care. 85% of the people just receive what's given to them. So that means that there's a 10% that's controlling that. And right now we're in the attention economy, whereby there's a 10% fighting for the 85% attention. So that literally means that we cannot just accept the industry and say, oh, look, John Black has a hit song and we should all work with him if we want a hit. I don't think that makes any sense. That means that if we all woke up and played Lagum today, tomorrow you'd be the biggest artist in Uganda. That's what it literally means. So that means we have that power as us, but then there's no narrative in urban music because there's no one who is really pushing urban music as a narrative. At least I can say Bantu Vibes is trying to do it, but then what do I define as urban music first and foremost? That was the question that was asked. I think urban music, for me, is the music in Uganda that just has the ability to hit the international scene with the international appeal. Because we've had artists come, but there's like a ceiling, there's like a glass ceiling they usually hit. You're not gonna find someone get as big as Senas TC or get as big as. I mean, Casper made one good album and now he's getting endorsements from all over the world. So I think the music that has the ability to go international, if our artists can be international icons, that's what I call urban music. It doesn't matter how it sounds. I just feel like the need right now for the Ugandan music scene is to go international. So that's what I call urban music. I don't know if Benenzeri agrees with me. Yeah. So personally, I feel like that should be the narrative in our media, pushing international sound. There's no narrative because you're not gonna find blankets and wine say, yo, our narrative is this. They're just gonna play whoever is hitting without asking why is that person hitting and without understanding that they have the power to control who is hitting.
As far as here, she'll answer that.
Yeah. Do you know that you have the power to control who hits or you just pick whoever is hitting?
She's going to explain herself. She's going to explain
Yeah,
herself.
so anyone who is in that power, the Dustville, don't tribe guy, you guys have the power to control who is hitting. You don't just be like, yo, this guy is hitting, let me pick him up and put him in my company.
But just from what you said, I have a question. There are some people who are actual Ugandans, not even just musicians, actors, the likes of Kemiondo and Akadop guys, Michael Chiwanuka, Florence Kasumba, Daniel Kaluya. These are Ugandans making it globally, but having no demographic here of supporters whatsoever. You ask a Ugandan, do you know who Michael Chiwanuka is? And I'm like, Michael who? Who is? But that guy had a #1 billboard for like 4 weeks. Like he's done stuff that we only dream about. So would you say that even while globalization and the fact that music can have that international appeal, there's still some other factors that tie to making it in quotes?
That's like you highlighting what I'm just saying. There's no narrative in Ugandan music. There's no narrative in the media. Like people in the Ugandan media, like the narrative is clear. It's local music. It's clear. It doesn't the narrative. Okay, let me just say it the clear way. The narrative doesn't support urban music. So if Chiwanuka happened to go international, he won't go international because the Ugandan media helped him get there. He's gonna go international because he used whatever
narrative.
tricks he used. You understand?
Yeah,
But
like
if we're Ugandans, then ideally the Ugandan media is supposed to get us there. But then if the narrative does not support that, then it becomes hard. Because me as an upcoming artist and the other upcoming artists I'm working with, people make amazing music way better than what's trending right now. But then you find that even that getting played or even getting debuted or even moving, you find you have to pay so much money to so many people. Because right now the media is being controlled by people who have a clear narrative. And that's to push the local music. So the urban music industry didn't have a clear narrative that if today no urban music artist was hitting, Blankets and Wayne could still choose to get an urban artist and put them on the stage just so the people could still get that subliminal message that you're gonna urban music is moving. But then if they don't have the power to understand that they control what the 85% is receiving and the 85% is just following, then they won't do it.
Then there's like a big discrepancy, and I hear
Yeah,
you.
so
Someone here, I think it was Felix, him, and I think that's why he's so eager. But we're going to hear from Asfa before we do that. Just to close, like what you're saying, you're talking about Blankets and Wine having bigger opportunities. The
not just Blankets, because I feel like the concerts now that have the urban appeal, that are getting the urban market, that really is in touch with the whole international scene. There's like Malembe Lifestyle, there's Nyege Nyege, Talent Africa.
There's so many
Yeah,
right
but
now.
why is there a Talent Africa concert and why is there only local artists? Why isn't the narrative clear? If you want international artists, why isn't it trying to make Ugandan artists international as well?
I hear you, and that's a discussion you're making. But my question would be to something Felix mentioned, I think right before you came in, concerning your own platform, Bantu Vibes,
Yeah.
and the kind of artists that showcase their having the ability to stream because they'll have probably a demographic that can actually stream and give them revenue from that. Like you're talking about
Felix, are you Felix? I think the description that you had about Bantu Vibes was very inaccurate in the sense that You said we're guys who fly out, go where. I've never left the country.
I didn't. Did I say that? I hope I'm
No,
not
him.
misrepresenting him or anything.
That we're guys who fly out and depend on streams. I'm a person who understands how the music industry works, and I understand that there's no hope for urban artists in certain places just because the narrative does not support what we're doing. You understand? That if I want to go to Douglas Ranga, I have to tell him too much and end up paying. Yet if I went to a promoter that actually understood, and if I knew Don supported the narrative of urban music and that's what he was all about, because there's no way a black man in USA is going to do something big and it's going to get reported on CNN. It's not. On any day. But once you fuck up, it's there. You understand? That's what the narrative is. That's what the media has the power to do.
So
That
your
you just
point
sell
is
to
that we
people
should
what
have a wider narrative that also caters for urban music,
the narrative should support urban music, especially in the media.
as well as the local, because I'm sure there's another
The local already has
R&B
people who are
somewhere
supporting it.
downtown in Kisenyi for Kidongo come like when the
No.
urban guys are just
The thing
we
is,
also want a narrative.
the thing is, we're here for urban music, right?
Yeah, I was just using that example.
Yeah,
Just
so
saying that there should be a diversified narrative. That's a
I
point you're
mean,
making, right?
right now Uganda has like 30 channels and they're all supporting urban local music. None of them is gonna come and play the new like if Lagum dropped a song today, is it gonna be a big deal? If I dropped a song, is it gonna be a big deal? It just sort of sinks somewhere there. Like there's no one pushing that narrative. If people are pushing that narrative, then I'm sure the tribute would be like, yo, then he dropped a song and it's hot, everyone should hear it. Then XFM, who there's a radio guy here, who then everyone is just gonna be like, yo, this song was it doesn't matter how the song sounds, because I've heard a couple of recent John Black songs and I think they're shit compared to what he started with.
Guys.
Let's calm down. Let's calm down. You guys don't think the
these
latest...
claps are worrying. These claps are worrying.
No, you guys, this is a frustrating thing because it's very obvious. It should be very obvious. This is frustrating to me because it should be very obvious.
No, people have different views, which is why we're here. So
Like,
thank you for
I mean,
articulating yours.
I hear a song hit and then I hear a song that's very, very, very nice and then it's just gonna sink, it's just gonna like float somewhere.
Definitely.
And I know the reason is that the narrative is not being supported.
So we should have a
It's very clear. Sound quality cannot
That's
be
why
a
we're
place.
here. We should ask ourselves what we should do with the sound quality.
I've heard Cohen's music from Dustville. It's very amazing music. If you've heard Not Letting Go or any of that stuff, it's very good sound. Sound is not the problem. Do you think sound is a problem?
There'll be time for like questions where we can, like, you will be the first person.
No, sound is not the problem.
So we can hear it.
Sound, if you think sound quality is still the problem, then you're still behind. Sound quality was a problem a couple of years ago. Am I lying? Sound quality was a problem a couple of years
Are you
ago.
sure he's right? Or you're just saying he's right? Because
right now you cannot say urban music's problem is sound quality. We have very good producers, very good artists. Everything is nice. Right now the problem, we've literally reached a place where the problem is the narrative.
okay, so
That's
thank you so
now.
much for stressing your views. Let's just hear from Asfa and she'll close. Then we'll get to hear from everyone. I see it's heating up a bit, but let's Asfa, defend yourself, blankets and wine.
Hi. Wow. I don't know where to start from, but
No, I can help you. We've been discussing urban music, the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And from the discussion, there's been such an emphasis on the opportunity platforms have to give musicians, Ugandan artists, exposure to push them and change the narrative as you'd have it, or bring some other revenue streams as you'd have it. So just talk about the opportunities, the threats, the weaknesses, what platform, since you're a concert producer, like what does it take for an artist to organize a concert? Can every artist afford a concert? Even if I could, would people come to it? All those variables.
all right. First of all, I need to defend myself as an individual. I work with Akadop, which has given urban artists a platform. So yeah. And then also, I don't work with Blankets and Wine anymore. I worked with them for I worked with them for 6 years. So I'll take the hit. But when I worked with Blankets and Wine, I don't know why everyone keeps saying local artists, Blankets and Wine. I don't know how many local artists you've seen on the Blankets and Wine stage. They're there, but they're not that many, right? So if you notice, if you're very careful, you'll realize that most of the lineup of Blankets and Wine is urban artists. There's the new Kampala set that usually has urban artists. Then there is
then I can actually vouch for her. Like the past 3 years, there's been
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then you put at like 3 p.m. when no one was there, and then you got Munji and King Sir put them when everyone was there. That was useless for her, because no one got to actually see her.
But you see, but there has no.
But the narrative.
No. First, now you see.
Okay, let's give
Okay, now,
Asfa
okay.
some time to
Okay.
present her case so she can answer your questions. Let her present her case.
Okay, fine. So you're talking about this one, but also the thing is, blankets and white. Like, fine. Okay. Let me think. Yeah. So blankets and white has pushed the urban artists. We have given them a platform. Kenneth Mugabe is here. He can vouch for me as well. Um, he can vouch for me as well. That's the thing, like, does it really matter what time he performs? Because if I put an urban artist at 7 p.m. when everyone is drunk, do you know what kind of disservice that does to that artist? Because no one's listening to you. You get no one's going to listen to you. So would you rather have no one listen to you, or have 100 people that are there and they're actually watching you and listening to your music? You see?
But I can also turn it the other side, just to come into Asfa's
defense.
defense.
They're having a blast.
Cindy Sanyu, is she an urban artist? Yes. Would you term her as an urban artist?
I mean, she's been eating for a while, and her music hasn't gone international.
But you term her as a local, the people controlling the narrative. Like, what I'm asking is, would you term her as an artist who falls within this discussion, or the one you were saying controls the narrative? No, I'm just trying to defend Asfa because you keep on interjecting. Let Aspa just finish. If you could just stop interjecting. Otherwise, I'm going to need to come and defend her. She's presenting just a different dimension. Like, you're right, she's right. That's what we're doing here, yeah? Cool.
Okay, yeah. So I don't feel like as an urban artist, first of all, I don't feel like you need to be on every single stage. I think I've been talking to Don, and from what we understand, the difference between an urban artist and a local artist is that the local artists have mainstream. They're being played mainstream, right? Like, everyone's listening to their music. But is that what you want? Do you want, like you said, John Black, like the latest songs that he had are trash compared to the first ones that he had? Is that what you want? Do you want to be that instant hit where everyone is like, okay, fine, this song is a hit, let's listen to this one? So as an urban artist, it takes time. It takes time to build. It takes time for people to listen to your music and appreciate it. So for you to grow that audience. So the reason, and the other thing why concerts or shows or whatever's are not putting urban artists, because every concert has to have a headliner. That headliner has to be able to bring in money. Concerts costs money, right? So if you're not going to be the one to bring in the money, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you that platform, because I know people are coming to that show. So I'm going to give you that platform to, you know what, be an opening act. Opening acts, it's a normal thing. It's not something that's done only in Uganda, right? It's always given to that person that, you know, this person has so much potential to be better, but they won't be able to hold a crowd of 5,000 people for an hour, or especially a crowd that's drunk. So you're going to put them on as an opening act. And people are giving. And yeah, maybe 3 years ago, urban artists were not given a chance. But now, more and more concerts, because they know there's people that want to listen to Lagum, there's people that want to listen to Lamu. There might be 100 kids, but they're there, right? So they're going to put them on. And they're going to put them earlier, yes, because maybe it's going to be a disservice to Lamu to put her on at 7 p.m. when no one is listening to her, right? So yeah, it's changing. Like, that narrative that you're talking about, I feel like is changing, because I don't think, especially Ugandan media, they don't really control that much. I think it's us, the people, that control. So it depends on the people that you're pushing your music to. Are they also pushing your music? Are you targeting the right kind of people that are going to push out your music? Like I said again, that are going to go to these concert pages, that are going to go and hustle Malembe and be like, put this one on, we want to listen to this one. You get? So I think that's how you do it, because at the end of the day, like we said, it's a business, right?
Yeah, it's a business.
I'm not here, no one's here just to no one's doing this just for fun times. Yeah, you can do it for fun times, but no one's really doing it just for fun times. So there has to be a balance, right? And then putting together a concert, I don't think every artist needs to put together a concert. I actually think an artist has to be in the market for maybe even 3-4 years before you put together a concert. Like, it doesn't matter who you are. Like, people are going to jump to your music, they're going to scream when they hear your music come on, but they won't buy those tickets. You get? or you're not good enough yet to perform to 5,000 people, because it's a whole different thing, right?
It's a whole
It's a
production.
whole production that goes on, and even like you just going and entertaining 5,000 people and having their attention, or even 1,000 people, is different. So I don't think artists should rush to put concerts together. Put together a show. If you're an urban artist and you have 100, 200 people that are listening to you, bring those people together. Start slow, put together something. And today, like, it's not easy, but it can be done, especially because you're going to call a friend to do this and to do that. It might be a bit expensive, but again, like they said, it's investment, right? So don't run to do. I don't think I really always discourage artists to like run to do concerts, because it's a disservice to you. Because the moment you go, it goes wrong once. Like, we are in a
That's what's
counseling,
remain.
we are in a counseling whatever society. People are going to be like, his work, he was hype. You get. So just go slow, grow your act as well, grow your art as well, and then get to a point where you're like, okay, fine, whatever I do, people are going to come. You get, like, because they trust me, they trust that I can be able to do this. I mean, look at Lillian when she did. Lillian performed at big mics, I think, for like 3 years before she did the concert at Serena. And even before that, she was Lillian, we knew her, but it takes time, so don't rush. Like, it doesn't matter how much people know you, how many people are hyping you, those people won't come. You get, and even if they come and something goes wrong, it's going to be on you, and they'll never forget that, right? So yeah.
So as for just two things with what you've mentioned, firstly, from your experience with working at Blankets and Wine, which is like such a huge like event and organization, the logistics and everything, and also now where you're at with Akadop, personally, or from what you've seen, what can platforms do more? Where is the lacuna in what can change to promote urban music more?
I think all concert people need to be very intentional about the urban artists, right? Like, I won't lie, most concert people want, because when someone is putting together a concert, for example, he mentioned Talent Africa. Um, Talent Africa is in for the money. They don't care about what you're doing. They don't care. You get, like, for the they want
It's
to bring in
totally
the artist,
business minded.
but it's a business. But it's a business, right? So what he's going to do is they're going to have the international act or the headlining act, and whoever is before that act is going to be someone that can come on, do his thing quickly, get the crowd hyped in like 15 minutes, and then go. You get. And most of the time, the urban artists, like, yes, people will be happy to see you, but it's not the John Black kind of music that's going to like we're hyped. And also there's that tempo that they're trying to keep. So so I think it's just either we have to create the platforms for the urban artists, because
So more platforms for people.
so I think we need to create those platforms, because the concerts that we're depending on, I wouldn't advise an urban artist to perform at a concert. I honestly wouldn't. Like, even when like artists text me and they're like, oh, can I perform? How can I get in touch with this one? I'd like to perform at this concert. I usually tell them, don't do it, because it's a very, very big disservice. You're going to go there, and then first of all, it's going to like just bring you down, because no one's really paying attention to what you're doing, even however good it is.
Like there's smarter ways of like
Of like going out there, other than the certain concerts you get. Unless if you have to know that something has to go with your brand as well. You get. So if a Chronics concert is on, just because you know there's going to be so many people, you're like, oh my god, I need people to see me, but that's not it. You get, like, you need to leave that place when at least 50 people are like, who's that chick? I need to listen to her music, or where can I find her? You get. So yeah, so I think more platforms need to be created for urban artists to be able to like express themselves, that are more that are where conditions are good for urban artists. Because and the thing is, I feel like they're small, but they're there.
They need more.
You get. They just need more. And also, as artists, go to these different places, because we've been doing Akadop for 2 years now, but every time we do a set of artists, they never come back. You get. So so that's the thing, like, as artists, like, go to these different places. I know so many different smaller platforms that do this for urban artists, but imagine if like, it was like a community, right? So you go to these different smaller platforms, they'll grow, because if the more people that are there, the more people that are talking about these platforms, the platforms grow. So all the other people that come after you have that chance, right? But yeah, so I think that's the thing. Just more platforms, different platforms need to be created for urban artists, because the concerts that are going on now, I personally don't think are conducive for the kind of music that
For
we're
that
talking
total holistic exposure for
Yes,
everyone.
for everyone, exactly. Even your John Black, by the way, even if he goes to, let me say, if the Bell concert that he's going to, like, he's going to be there for 15 minutes, but I can tell you, even if you asked half the people there what song he did, who performed, they probably won't mention him. They'll mention the last act, and then maybe if Shiba performed or Chameleon performed. You get, so those other people are there, just they're space fillers. And as an artist, honestly, I'm not an artist, but I wouldn't want to be a space filler. If that's the kind of music, if I was trying to like get my music actually heard. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Aspa. So, just before you pass on the mic, Felix, before you say anything, this is what's going to happen now. We're going to just open it up. Questions. Panelists, feel free to ask fellow panelists questions. Feel free to ask the audience questions. Like, it's R&D. We're discussing. But I'm going to ask just two things. First of all, as we discuss, let's be respectful of everyone else's opinion. That's why we're here. We see there's a problem, there's stuff that could change, but some guys are into John Black, some people are not into John Black, you get it? But let's just be sensitive, and it's okay. You know, that's what I'm saying. It's okay. We all have tastes. We all have opinions. We all have ideas of what should happen or what shouldn't happen. But as we hear from people, let's be respectful, let's be sensitive in articulating our own position, yeah? That's good? So let's hear from Felix, and then I've just seen a hand there. There was another gentleman there who, Sylvia, your neighbor, really had something to say. I don't know where he's gone, but, oh yeah, he's there. Yeah, the mic's coming to you, so prepare your question, yeah? So Felix, let's hear from you.
Here's the thing.
Just as briefly as possible also. Everyone, just mind time.
Here's the thing that we need to understand, and I've seen it a lot with urban artists. First of all, you need to understand, in this world, the world doesn't owe you a thing. That's the first thing you need to understand. Number two, urban guys, we want to go international before we conquer home. And I'm saying this from experience because I get to manage some of these rappers. Not even manage them, but guide them. They want to be anesthesia before they are anesthesia at home. There is no foreign act that they are flown into this country that is not doing numbers at their home, that is not breaking a record at their home. However much you want to go international, we need to remember one thing. It costs a lot of money to break out in a foreign market. Earlier this year, I hosted a certain Nigerian record label head. He wanted to break his artist in Uganda. And he was telling us, Diamond Platnumz is big in East Africa, but he can never do anything in the Nigerian market. And this is our biggest act. And this is a guy who is making money. These guys get money and they fly into foreign markets just to break their artists into this market. Then the other thing is, he was speaking of a narrative. The thing about the media narrative you need to understand is that it is pushed by someone who has money. It's as simple as that. It's pushed by someone who has money, wants to make money. Julius Chaze was telling us how they can never work with a talented artist, because a talented artist at Swang 7 is going to give them orders. Hey, I want this guitarist. Hey, I want Michael Uma to come and play this string. It was like, you know what, we don't want that. We are going to get a Vinca. He's going to come in studio. We buy them a song. They write them a song. They come in studio. They record it the way they record it. Whether she's talking, whether she's doing what, get Benon, throw spice on it, put it out there. Pay all these media guys 50K per month, whether we have a song or not, to write about our artists, to host our artists. Pay the blogs 100K per month to talk about our artists day in, day out. It's as simple as that. It's about the money, my guy. So if your thing is not making money for people, it's not going to be there at the end of the day. Lastly, we need to stop. I can't curse. We need to stop crying a lot that, hey, urban this, hey, urban me, this. Be part of the solution. Stop complaining. This guy can tell you, when we were at campus, we walked from Makerere to like all the urban radio stations you can think of pitching a hip-hop show. But everyone, they were like, no, no, no. So what did we do? We started a blog. The blog has become a platform for hip-hop guys. We did the UG Hip Hop Awards. And the main reason as why we did the UG Hip Hop Awards is because no one was putting money in hip-hop. But 3 years we are doing the UG Hip Hop Awards with MTN. Now when you go to bars and you meet brand managers, they are like, hey, by the way, this brand has hip-hop money next year. You should talk to them. So it's about you being part of the solution. it's going to be hard. We have done these hours for 3 years. We walk away with 0 coins in our pockets. 3 years. So at the end of the day, it's about that. Then, I don't know, you said my description of Bantu Vibes is inaccurate. I want you to just clarify. Is it a bunch of artists under Bantu Vibes, or Bantu Vibes is one person?
Okay, it's important you understand what Bantu Vibes is about. So Bantu Vibes, the whole concept and the idea is just about getting Africans to embrace what's African, so that we can stop the whole concept of if like musicians are there, then we shouldn't have like a musician from USA be bigger in our minds than an African musician. We just want people to get to accept what's African and embrace it in that kind of way. That's what Bantu Vibe is all about. So when I talk about urban music, I'm talking about music in the sense of I want it to be African wide. I'm not talking about in the sense of I want it to go international, because Bantu Vibes is about Africa and getting Africans to understand that if we are all Africans and we're about Africa, then Africa becomes a superpower. But if we're all Africans and our minds are still being taken up by what the media is pitching us from American, where Premier League, where then they're still more powerful than us. And I feel like the whole trick is in the media. So just to answer your question, when I talked about the narrative and what I was trying to give us was the keys to making us big in Uganda. I'm not, trust me, I'm not like, I'm an active part of the solution, because I've actually been doing this, giving African urban artists a platform. And when I say urban artists, I'm not talking about rappers or anything like that, because I'm the only rapper in Bantu Vibes. I'm talking about people whose music has the ability to go international. That's all I'm talking. I haven't talked about languages, because Bantu Vibes, I'm a person who loves music that's not in English very much, and my producer can tell you. Yeah. By international, I'm just saying music that can have international appeal, where Ugandan artists can be international icons. Where instead of Ali bringing someone in from abroad, he can take someone from here and do a very big show in Nigeria, do a very big show in Europe. You understand? That's what my version of urban artists is. Yeah. So when I say, just give me a minute. When I say I want us to control the narrative, what I'm saying is there must be a clear team. You've heard about big teams that run big projects. I wanted us, when I'm saying narrative, I'm saying if there's no narrative for urban music and there's a narrative for local music, that's why local music is prevailing. That's what I was trying to say. So if we want urban music to prevail, then we must make it a narrative, and then we should create a team that's going to push the narrative. So what I'm saying is Bantu Vibes is already pushing the urban music narrative. So if there were like 10 other Bantu Vibes pushing the urban music narrative, then I told you 85% of the market just follows what they're being given. That means we can make Ugandan urban music big in Uganda. And then after we make it big in Uganda, because every time a hit is big in Uganda, then the Nigerians are going to have to hear like what are Ugandans listening to. But every time a Nigerian listens to what Ugandans are listening to, I want you to answer for me, do they also keep listening to it, or do they just be like, oh, okay, that's Kawa, let me keep living my life? What I'm trying to say is, if they had a song from Uganda that they really liked and they understand, then they're more likely to keep playing the song for the rest of the point. It would be an African hit. But if they hear the song and they're like, well, that's Kawa, I don't understand the guy is saying it's Kawa, and they keep moving on with their lives, then it sort of gives us a glass ceiling. A glass ceiling is like, it's just in our minds, but we can still go beyond that point. Yeah?
So Bantu
So
Vibes has a bunch of artists, and right? It's an umbrella of artists.
It's not an umbrella of artists.
No, that's the question.
I explained to you the concept, and I'm really
I
working with.
understand the concept. The concept is the PR side. We want to push African, blah blah blah.
Yeah,
I
and I'm
understand
really
that.
working with everyone.
And my question is,
Yeah.
are there a bunch of artists under Bantu Vibes?
Now, if you say it
Or
like
it's
that,
a platform where you get and then get guys to come and perform, and then they go home.
now if you say it like that, it doesn't really capture what I'm doing. If you say it like that, because I'm working with fashion, I'm working with fashion
I'm
designers.
only saying it like that because you have to be honest with us.
Alright, we're working with fashion designers. If you know Latif, the guy who made Chronic's outfit and Quest and what, he's under Bantu Vibes. If you know SP, I'm working with stage designers and art people. If you know Wamala's Art Gallery at the Cub is working with us. We did a Nyege Nyege stage last year. We're in charge of all the performers, and we're doing events. We have a night here at Levels that is always pushing urban music. We're working with DJs. If you know DJ Alza, you know DJ Virtual. Then we're working with musicians. We're working with producers. Yeah. So if you just say I have a bunch of artists, then that doesn't make any sense.
I'm only saying a
'Cause
bunch of
the
artists
narrative
because
is
I'm
about
discussing music. At the end of the day, I'm not a guru on fashion. You understand?
Yeah.
But here's what I'm trying to say. the person who introduced me, okay, who gave me, I was with Benazir at Bayimba, and then he was telling me about Bantu Vibes, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, Bantu Vibes is a good platform. But
Yeah.
here's the thing. A lot of artists in Bantu Vibes are living in a bubble.
What's a
I'm
bubble?
coming. So this bubble is made up of people. So when you're creating music or when you are developing a product, your immediate market is your friend, you understand, is your family
Is
member.
that something you know for a fact or it's a preconceived notion?
I'm coming. Is your friend, uh, is your friend, is your friend, your family members, your immediate circle, you get me? So what does that mean? If I went to school, and this is where Bantu Vibes come in, because I asked Benaziri, a bunch of them went to international schools. He was like, yeah. And I'm like, you see the beauty about it? Eh? And I'm like, here's the thing. I'm not saying you went to international school. I'm not labeling it to be a bad thing. You understand?
Yeah.
It's a good thing.
I was in Chitende, just to be
yeah,
clear.
Exactly. Tamale Kagwa, he was telling me you were in Chitende. So, when you are in that circle, people went to international schools. They have some cash to spend. You understand?
Yeah.
They have some cash to spend. They'll come to your show, they'll pay the 0.99 and stream your music. So at the end of the day, when you are in that, it creates a bubble for you as an artist. Hold on. It creates a bubble for you as an artist. But as urban guys in Bantu Vibes, you fail to cross over to other urban people.
Do you know what stereotyping is?
Wait. I'm not stereotyping you.
You are.
Because this
No, listen. There's a stereotype for what an urban musician is in Uganda. There's a stereotype, and what you've just described is a stereotype for what an urban musician is.
So,
because I'm nothing like what you've just
Felix
mentioned right
and
now.
Bantu Vibes, you guys have such a great discussion, by the way, right? Yeah? But the thing is, so many people have so much to say apart from you guys. So, let's just pass the mic, and everyone, this applies to you as well. Even if you get into a discussion with someone, just for the sake of everyone, keep it short, keep it succinct, just give us your point, yeah? And I hope it's not to do with this discussion, but if it is, no pressure, but short, Yeah, thanks.
Okay, I'm Axon, as he introduced me, a producer at Bantu Vibes. Yeah, it's not about their discussion, but it's about him.
What Felix was saying.
Yeah, about Chaze and the all money issue here. I'm looking at someone who has the talent and doesn't have money. Like the way you're moving around pitching your ideas to different
Radio stations.
For the hip hop awards, isn't it? You get it? So I'm looking at someone who doesn't have any coin and he wants to be pushed, and his music is really nice. More than that person whose music is not there. I won't call it cheat, but it's not there. Because I know how hard it is to record, you get it? And the way we fill up the artists' things and all that in studio. If anyone thinks I'm lying, Ness can bear me witness. You get it? Yeah, but let's look at it to someone who doesn't have the cash, but he has the talent. When you look at Benon, look at the old Benon. Don't look at the Benon now.
Benon and
You
Vampino moving
you get
in their
it?
cabito
You remember the talent they all had before Vampino started doing Smart Wire, what. They had really very nice music, and the money wasn't there by that time. You get?
Yeah, they are
but it
broke.
was a hustle.
Yeah.
But they could get accepted wherever they could go. So when you're talking like that, don't look at it like someone already has the money now. Look at people who don't have money now, and they have very nice music, and they want to push it. Just like Ness said, there are artists that, no, it was done. There are artists that will come to studio and they have the talent, and you'll have to work for free, you get. Many artists don't pay. I'm one very kind of person who doesn't want to work with any big artist in Uganda. Why? Because you will come the way she said, they don't. Who said about the talent? About who wants some guitarist, Michael Uma? Hey, is it you? Yeah, that's the same thing those big artists will do. You get it? I'm not talking about it to Kenneth, because I know you're someone who is big. But I'm that type of person. Yeah, you're someone who is big. Because who doesn't know him here? You get it? But the good thing with him that he will play his own guitar. You will have less work to do. You get it? But I'm looking at this big artist who knows that he's a big artist. He will come to studio. He will give you orders as if he's a producer. You get it? I'm looking at it that way. That's why I would have 100+ artists that are upcoming and talented
And
that
grow that art
you
and
get.
give them the
And we are,
exposure.
yeah, I give them my time. I know we are coming up together. I know in the next 10 years, we will be the big thing. You get.
So the long term as opposed
It's
to
a long-term thing
Okay.
than working with a big artist who is hitting, who won't even tag me anywhere.
Cool.
You get.
Yeah.
And another thing I want to talk about, like, I can release a song today with an artist, or any of the artists will release a song that I've not worked with. Yeah, but he's an upcoming type of artist, you get. It's a very nice song, but I may tag like the big names here. I don't know all of you guys, but I may tag, let me say, my bro Beninzeri. I'll tag her, I'll tag you, I'll tag Don, I'll tag Felix. Everyone there, Ness, Kenneth. Yeah, I will tag all of you guys, like, to tap this song that I've released. Like, maybe it will be Twitter, but I won't get any like from you. I won't get any retweet from you. I won't get any comment from you. Like, why am I tagging you? You're the people who have the market, you get.
Yeah, the ones holding the microphone in the big,
exactly.
so everyone can just
So
hear.
I'm tagging you to help me retweet my song, even if you don't comment, but a retweet from you. Other people from Blackets and Wine, other people from Akadop, they will follow up, you get. Don't retweet. My brother Baru will follow up. He'll be like, who is this producer? Hey, this Axon. That's how you got to know me, by the way, because of retweeting and everything. Then I see my manager will retweet. People following Bantu Vibes, they will come and be like, what's this?
What's this about?
Yeah, Felix will retweet. I don't know where Felix works, but I think it's a radio type of. Am I wrong? Around.
He's around. You'll never
Okay.
soon enough.
Benenzeri will retweet, and everyone will follow up. Ness, the same thing, like what I'm talking about. Even if you don't comment or do what, but at least like. Or if you don't like the song, at least
You have seen, you received
yeah,
the
you've seen,
notification.
you get
Hey,
it.
some guy
Yeah,
here
I'm
about-
sure every artist I do tag, or any artist tags, will have to see, because there is a. I get every notification on my phone, even if it's a message from, let me say, Bella Ko, or what, you get. I will always have to check and see where is this message from. But I act like someone who is just ignoring things for the fact that I don't know whether they are scared of the type of thing, like I'll retweet this and this artist will blow up, you get.
Yeah, so
Like
different formulas to different things. So let's
Yeah.
just pass on the mic to
Who-
that gentleman in the cap behind who almost came in front here. Sir, please voice your concerns.
Hey people, how you doing? Huh?
If we could just please know your name.
It's Najib, yeah? Yeah. So basically me, I actually had one simple point. I said, sound what?
Sound quality, yes, that was
Thank
your
you very
point.
much. So basically, because basically what basically I actually meant was that basically because right now in Uganda, us guys in our so-called music industry, we actually play a little bit of I would say a little bit easy, because here in Uganda, us guys have the same sound quality for actually the past for the past
Couple of years. Yeah.
Exactly, because basically omuntu nga I would say like chameleons, basically every year in, year out, these guys will do the actual same beats, the same things, and they actually always sell. So question is, if you're actually saying you actually want to do this whole bit of the urban thing, First of all, where is the sound thingy? Because we have failed to upgrade. For the past 20 years, we are still on that same chidandari drama, man. It doesn't sell, because if Omuntunga, this guy from Tanzania, what's his name? Diamond Platinum.
Yeah.
These guys have upgraded their sound quality. That's why right now they actually sell. That is what I actually
wider
meant.
coverage,
That's what I meant.
Okay.
So which means the so-called, which means what we actually have to do, we actually have to go back. So maybe Tabo, sound production, sound a mixer, a sound engineer. Go and learn that shit, man. I know, it's actually very, very simple. Bravo, man.
Okay, so
It
let's
works,
have John
man.
answer your question.
Down, man.
Yeah. And I'm going to suggest that if you've said something already, there's a bias I'm going to have, so that other people can probably give an answer. But like, Yeah, don't go ahead.
Sound quality, I didn't get you quite well, but I think you mean
His point was that maybe there's a wider coverage we can have. Even the Diamond Platinums, there's where they're reaching because they've upgraded. But we've been doing the same stuff for 20 years.
in terms of
Quality of sound.
production.
Production. So that whole.
I honestly, yeah.
I think he's talking about sound production. He said it like sound production, eh? Okay, so Don, you can tie both into
ways,
it. Yeah.
both ways. Because first of all, the example he gave was Chameleon, right? We're talking about urban music, so I don't know. No, first wait, first chill, right? I can tell you right now, there are artists out there who have music that sounds like it's from the States. I know. Hold on. I know Ugandan engineers who have studied in Hollywood and have the equipment and make very nice sound, right? Right? Yeah. Do you know a producer called Nelson? Do you know Nelson from C19? Have you listened to his music or whatever he works on? Are you going to tell me that's Chidandali or whatever?
Najib, could you just give him opportunity to answer your question? So it's not a back and forth.
And in terms of, he said sound in terms of sound production. But I mean, there are people making, even her right here, just her. Have you listened to her music? Yeah?
Have you listened to my music?
I mean, it's. I mean, there are crazy producers in Uganda who are making unheard of music, right? And music on every level, like whether it's dance hall, whether you're saying whatever international music, because I really can't get what you're saying. You know?
What he's saying is that even while there's people like Neil Muhire and let me just elucidate for him. Like even while we have these people, there's still the same sound and the same genre is still dominating, you know? Like his question is, if there's an Nelson Muhires, why don't we know about them so much, or why aren't they as big as Jose Chameleon?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I think that's very simple.
Or as Mr. Sawa was saying, the narrative.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I could come back down to the narrative. Who are the majority of people in Uganda? Right? Who are the majority of people? Us urban music people, we are very small niche. Right? So you're catering to a small market. Your music is not going to be as big as Chameleon's music.
That's a fact. That's just a fact.
That's a simple fact, because he relates to the whole of the 80%, whatever you're saying, right? It's just a simple fact.
So Najib, what he's saying is that we hear you, but that's exactly why we're here. Maybe if there's something we can do, there's been such a consistency of the same. Yeah, so if you guys want to continue, is there anyone else who wanted to add to this discussion? Just one more person? I'm seeing a lady there. We can pass the mic over to her. Chris is pointing at you. It seems you have something to say. Let's just pass that mic. Let's give it her.
Hi guys.
Hi.
My name is Faith.
Hi, Faith.
I joined the discussion a bit late, but what I wanted to contribute to this conversation is, to be honest, I work on radio. I'm trying to figure out, when we say urban artists, what do we mean? Number one, because I fear that we might get lost in the labeling, yet we all sort of do one thing. The other thing I want to talk about is stereotypes. I hear us, artists, media people, always saying, oh my God, there's a stereotype. Yet we actually contribute to the stereotype very often. I'm going to give an example. I work on a Christian radio station, and for the past 5 years, 5 or even more, we've had an influx of Zambian music. Zambian gospel music.
And the
Pompies, the Lota House, the Microphone Sevens and all. These guys noticed, because Zambia proclaims itself as a Christ nation, that's what they call themselves. But these guys realized that Bemba sounds like Uganda. They realized that they are youthful and they hated the sound of the music. So they decided, hey, how about we just do like what we are doing right now, talk about what we would want for our music to sound and give people an alternative sound. Long story short, we, the station that I work with time had had reached a point where they said, no more Zambians, we are not bringing them. But for the time when by the time I'm done with my show, I have an entire hour of request hour. And I can tell you, if I'm to count the number of Zambian requests that I get, and I'm not going to include my workmates, is way high that side. But this is what these guys decided to do. They sat down and said, this is what we've realized is wrong with the industry. This is what we're bringing on board. The people followed. So the assumption that people do not know what they want to listen to is a huge lie. It's just that us that have the good sound are busy bickering instead of actually putting the music out there. The third thing I'd love to talk about is if you're an artist and you're here, it is your journey. The station I work with has a music policy. So you are not going to hear you're not going to hear 3/4 of the music that is either pushed on. I mean, if you're to go through the platforms, you see there are promoters who lie to artists that nja kufunira akatale, and you go, the post is probably like a scripture, and it's not going to work. It's definitely not going to work. But if you are taking on this journey, one of the people that I admire mostly, I'm so sorry I don't know so much of the mainstream music, because yeah.
Nothing be sorry about, that's you. Do you?
That's yeah. For a very long time, I hear artists and I have no idea who they are. But one of the guys that I'll give an example about is him. Sylvester Kabombo has done hip hop music, even when my dad would ask, what is that? What is that music? And he stayed doing what he loves to do. And you know, the beauty about that is, I know, like what you said, for most artists, they want to do a song, and yeah, they want to tag you and make your mentions very busy, because they feel like, oh my God, I deserve the platform. But this guy and Abrams decided to do what they do because they loved it. And guess what? There is always people that see real recognizes real. So I feel, let's go back to the place where you ask yourself, why do I do what I am doing? And that will determine all the other questions.
The formulas,
yes,
and what you do and what not you do.
Yes, that's all I had to say.
Thank you. Just pass on the mic to that gentleman there. Please introduce yourself before you ask your question.
Hey, my name is Titan Mokesa. I'm a singer, songwriter, and a music producer. I work with First Kings. Just to contribute a few things, I would say it all starts with you. It's not about who's making noise for you. I remember 2 years ago, I was talking to Felix and Haggai, if you remember, and you were complaining. You tried to reach out to some guys, big names in the industry when you're starting the Hip Hop Awards. And then you said they didn't try to push it. And I told you, it's not about doing it for you. It's about you creating your noise. And then everyone come on board. I have a studio I'm running, my own studio. And people don't really support much. So a few weeks ago, I put up a post I admired from somewhere. And it was a studio desk, very nice. And everyone was jumping on the post, people calling me, they want to work with me, because they had seen a very beautiful studio desk. Now, it's me creating my own noise, and now people are coming to me. So I don't want to complain so and so is not helping me when I'm not helping myself, right? So I'm a believer, and I have faith. If I don't have faith in me, no one is going to have faith in me. It starts with me. Thanks.
Thanks so much for that input. I think that's a real good, yes. Sylvia, let's hear from you. Sir.
I'm so severe.
He is so severe, guys.
I think I'll just start from somewhere where Felix spoke on, and Genesee, though he has walked away. I've had the privilege to be on both ends of the spectrum. I've been in the music end, and I've been on the media end. And when I was at the artist end of things, I felt that entitlement that Felix spoke of. I mean, you're pushing your talent in the studio. You're writing your lyrics. You're doing all the music, and trying to put it in all these places, and not getting what you feel like you deserve back. When you get on the media side, you realize these things are bigger than you. It's money. It's much to what his experience at Tribe, trying to push a hip hop radio show. I also, with Martin Segunya over there, how I actually got to know Martin, they hit me up to be on one mic show before it was on TV to be a guest. And I'm like, man, what if I host? They're like, all right, you come and shoot your shot. I shot my shot, I got the deal. Now after that, the 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 struggle of getting it onto TV. It doesn't matter how good the product is. It doesn't matter your talent. On the other end, it's like, can we sell this? You go to the Billboard Top 100, and the guys who you actually believe have the talent, there's
They
a
don't even
handful.
feature on that, yeah.
Like everyone here has their. I know you have your most played on iTunes.
Yeah.
Everyone has the music that they listen to. And not always will those guys be in the big leagues. The guys in the big leagues are there just to make money. And I think then also it brings the idea that for everyone who is an artist, that dream, that the way you feel combative like Dennis he was, he's ready to argue for this. Najib is ready to, he came all the way back like, okay, let's talk about this. He's ready. It comes from a place of passion, because you like doing what you do. However, Sylvester will be the first one here to explain to you that not always is your talent as a music artist going to be the reason you secure the bag.
Definitely.
So you're going to have to figure out what else can we do in this space. While Dennis is here speaking about how he raps and whatnot, not many people might see that he has created the platform of Bantu Vibes, and now that's where the bag will come from. Not everyone he does work with will succeed. He's more likely to. So I think the idea is to broaden the
spectrum,
broaden the spectrum, try and see it from both ends and keep fighting at it. Don't give up, because it's the art, and that's why we're here and all willing to fight for it.
True. Thanks so much. Anyone else? Sylvester has something to say.
Issue is about is she called Asfa?
Asfa, yes, it's Asfa.
Yeah, about like not advising artists to
do the concerts and
do their own concerts. I think it's good for some artists to look at the 4 people in the audience to wake up. Yeah, seriously, really good. It's motivating, because it gives you a drive to to cultivate your own audience. I've seen I do some work for Bayimba part-time. I coordinate the hip hop boot camp at the island, Lunkuru. And I was telling artists that there's a tendency for artists that if they know they've been programmed for an event that they know has a following, they don't tend to call people to attend, because they know, oh, Blankets and Wine is a huge event. It's been
Everyone
there
will
for
be
4
there.
years, so there are people there. No, that's not how it is. What are you adding on the card? What are you adding on the card? Because there should be a reason why people program you, not just music. Way back 2006, me and Abrams, we used to be on almost every concert. We still have those posters. Schools, Heritage Park when it was open, Little Flowers, Deviate. But most of the time, it wasn't
history, Deviate.
Yes,
Yeah.
most of the time, it wasn't the music. Yes, you have the good music, but what else are you putting on the card? We used to cultivate our following, and they made sure that when they released posters, they made sure Sylvester and Abrams, they have the posters to distribute in schools, because we used to cultivate our own audience, So
It's not the magic of just
yes,
a concert
so
and
if
you're
you
big
cultivate
immediately.
your own audience, you can start doing your small concerts. Before those Kadonkamu guys, man, they don't wait for these concerts.
Preach.
Deep down there, where it's like a small place,
long
like
as it's where
50
to
people
stand.
in there. They're playing, they don't wait for big things. So I say, that start small before Blankets and White looks out for you. Start small, but most of the time, we want to test the big waters. You have, you don't have a live performance experience, but then you want to test the big waters. So I should say, let's start, I understand where she's coming from. She wasn't really discouraging, but don't hit Serena before don't hit Serena before actually able to, So start small, cultivate your audience, small venues, before the bigger events look out for you.
Slowly but surely.
Yes, have something for yourself, yeah.
Cool. Kenneth really wants to say something.
Mbalamusiza banange. My name is Kenneth Mugabe, and just to add on to what mukulu wange Sylvester said, and there was a gentleman who was seated here.
Simon, yeah.
Yes. My point is one, what is your goal in music? One, what is your goal? The goal will give you the vision. This actually you have a vision, but then you start setting like small goals until you reach that huge picture you saw. Like I try to be imaginative and expressive. So me in the beginning, it was rated next. I saw myself somewhere big. I didn't know I would be chased off Embuti exist stage. Agakatona mugulu. But you see, there's a goal, always a goal. That was a setback, yes. But then I can tell you recently, I went to Lukaya. Muchisawe. And surprisingly, I have fans there. And the kind of music I do, bagam or you are sereno. There's a time I was on Dembe FM, and a caller called, Nagamba. Omuvubuka oyo alina music omulungi naye eyo muserena tetutuukayo lwaki tajjaako eno. The thing is, for them they think you require a lot of money to be there. That's what they think. And me, my goal is maybe I need to put a concert in Nambole, like Maddox, like a Dubes. I want that. But I knew sijja kusooka genda te mu Serena. I want Serena, but right now, Serena is not going to work for me. First, 20 million to hire that venue. 20 million. Nzeta goes take music. So that I can push for Namboli. You get? And these small collaborations. For example, on my new album, I collaborated with only 4 artists. 1, Lillian Babas. She has her own market. 2, Angela Kalole. She has her own market. 3, Irene Mobiro. She has her own market. 4, Maureen Nantume. She has her own market.
Completely.
All women. Look, the thing is, buli omu amanyi sente bwe ziri. Oh no, the thing is, we the artists, we have eyes to see. We have eyes to see. We know that when I throw my seed somewhere there, by the time I reach there, the seed will have germinated, and maybe I'll have seen some fruits. By the time, let me give myself 5 years. I'll be doing big concerts where you create over, and they'll be selling out.
Amen.
But the thing is just planting the seed. Plant the seed. You are the seed. Artists, we are the seed. We just have to plant. Chibunomo, the song, I wrote that song in 2011, my first year at campus. Right now, I still perform the song. The very song, right now. How many years later? 8 years later. I still perform the same song. That song, I remember one thing. The first time I performed it, a lady came, namfuwa sente. By the time I finished performing, nagendo kebiranga temori nechikumi nechi. Why? Yamfuwa mpewo. Yes, this is a true story. But the thing is, I've gotten money from Chibunomu, and still I've put it back. Most of us artists, we have distractions. There are a lot of distractions. Very many distractions. But the thing is, what is your goal? My point is, what is your goal in music? Thank you very much.
Kenneth, thank you so much. So we're going to wrap it up right there. I don't know how you guys feel about this, but personally, I think it's something that's super necessary. You can see how different our views are. Someone has, no, this is what's going to work because this is what's relevant. It's like, no, I think this is more relevant. Or, you guys, have you thought about this? And this is what we need. The fact that there are so many opinions isn't a bad thing. It's actually a good thing. It shows that people are thinking about this stuff. People are concerned about this stuff. People are passionate about it. So if you've had any people who are like-minded with you, get a number before you leave. And I'm serious because we're not playing games here. We're not, right? Like, we are advancing the industry. We are living out our lives. Some of us, I don't call it a curse, but man, your passion is your passion. You can't do anything else. So, ask your neighbor if they have a blog. Ask your neighbor if they, you know what they do, Bantu vibes. If you didn't understand what it is, come ask him. Go ask him if you have this. Me, I think Hip Hop Awards should do this. You come and ask him so he explains to you his vision, so you see where to fit in. If you are passionate about events, ask for Uno, produce. Like, you guys, there's so many people here that can answer a lot of questions, even within us, yeah? So thank you so much for showing up. Thank you so much for showing up. It's been cold. I've been here shivering. I just want to call Benezeri to wrap this up. And yeah, that's it. Because Benezeri organized this, yeah? In case you didn't know, so. Yeah.
I don't really have much to say. I just want to say for everybody that came here, even when it seemed like it was going to rain, the football match is going on. Today is Eid, and some people have sacrificed, a few hours just to come. I'm really grateful. This is exactly, I think, this mirrors the reality. I think that the business side and the art side will kind of always conflict. However, it's important for them to marry. And that's why we are here, and that's why the most important part of this is what's happening after this, where we're all going to speak to each other, we're going to network, we're going to unite. So thank you very much, and enjoy the evening. When is the next one? First of all, actually, I almost forgot this. If you haven't signed in a little blue book, please do. We want to keep in touch, and through that we shall be able to to share and see how we can do another one like this. Yeah, thank you.
All right, guys. Have a good Sunday. Thank you for coming.